Halo is my goddamn childhood in a nutshell. I grew up on the Xbox 360, so of course I was playing that shit every day I could. And ever since, it has always remained as my favorite shooter franchise. Excluding these ones, cause fuck them. There was always something special about Halo for me. Maybe it was the unique and well-developed sci-fi universe. Maybe it was the beautiful soundtrack. Maybe it was the fact that Halo has one of the only video game plots where all of the violence is racially motivated. Regardless, I played all the Halo games for a combined total of 4 billion hours until I knew them like the back of my hand. Now, for the most part, there are Halo games I love, and there are ones I, don't. And while I don't intend to make videos on the ones I hate because that would be fun for no one, I might one day talk about the Halo games I do really like, though that might take a while. However, there was always one Halo game that sat in kind of an odd place. It's a game I do have a lot of appreciation for, but also a game I have a lot of issues with. That game is called Halo Reach, because saying it's an amazing game might be a bit of a reach. I'll see myself out now. My first Halo game ever was Halo 4, yeah, it wasn't a Bungie Halo game, boo-hoo, shut up. And frankly, as far as the campaign is concerned, I still love Halo 4 to this day. Unlike many others, I love Chief's new armor, and Cortana's new look. After Halo 4 was Halo 3, and then it comes to Reach. So it was hardly my first rodeo. Now, there are many obvious differences between Reach and the games that came before it, but today I want to give it a fair chance and focus solely on the campaign, namely the story. Because if I'm being honest, Reach doesn't quite reach the heights of its predecessors in terms of gameplay. Even though I won't touch on the multiplayer, partially because I don't really care and partially because I'm not resurrecting the corpse of my Xbox 360 to log into a dead fucking game for like 10 minutes, Halo Reach had the Jeffrey Dahmer hit list of customization, in that there was a lot of it, and it was done with style, damn it. While custom games was usually my speed, the gameplay itself had the potential to be fun. Too bad Armor Lock fucking ruined it. However, that's okay, because I don't play Halo for the multiplayer, I play it for Cortana, the campaign. For a little context story-wise, Reach is a very important planet to the UNSC, or United Nations Space Command, in the Halo universe. It contains many UNSC shipyards and military installations, as well as a pretty notable civilian population. It also happened to be a great source of titanium for the UNSC. Not to mention that the star system it's a part of is only a stone's throw away from Earth. Reach was as important to the UNSC as class warfare is to Warren Buffett. Could the UNSC survive without it? Sure, but it would be a massive loss if it were to fall. Before we delve into the campaign of Halo Reach, I need to ask a question. What makes a good story? I think it's an important question, right up there with where is your house? Stories are, put simply, the things that make us. They shape who we are even if we don't always realize it. A show like Breaking Bad, a movie like Pulp Fiction, an anime like Clanad, or a book like Metamorphosis. Stories are a very important part of our lives, and even if it's not something you tend to think about because you have a life unlike me, their significance shouldn't be underestimated. There's a pretty well-known quote that goes, "It's not like we're related by blood or anything. I cannot remember the books I've read any more than the meals I've eaten. Even so, they have made me." And I think it's not only important to acknowledge the significance of stories, but also to ask the question, what makes a good story? And while it feels like a cop-out, I promise I'll go into a bit more later, for now I'll say it really depends. There isn't a formula, except this one, but you know what I mean. All different kinds of stories can be considered good and bad. The story of Halo Reach is divisive, much like Exterminatus. Plenty of people have praised it, and I think plenty more people have shit on it like the malnourished child that it is. And today I'm planning on doing a bit of both. And yes, I have read the Fall of Reach book, and no, I will not be comparing the two. I know that the game kind of ruins the book a little bit, but I want to be fair and judge the game's campaign on its own merits. The campaign opens with epic establishing shots of a destroyed Reach, along with your helmet, cracked and splintered, laying in the wasteland. The game is letting you know how the story will end before it even begins, which I respect. It's a bold choice to preview the campaign with footage of Reach post-Covenant Bukake, and goddamn, something about the way Bungie designed the look of every Halo game is just mwah. Even though in the opening cutscene it basically just looks like we're in Nepal, the artistry of the Halo games is somehow still present. You then see your character, Noble 6, who is unique among Halo protagonists in that you get to customize him. It's honestly a good thing that Reach, the game with the best customization, had this, otherwise it would have felt like a waste. You meet up with Noble Team, who seem to be in the middle of a debrief for their next mission, which you'll be joining in on. Where are you going? Vietnam. Once the briefing is finished, you get introduced to your new team.
Lieutenant.
Commander, sir.
I'm Carter, Noble Team's leader. That's Kat, Noble 2, Emil and George 4 and 5. You're riding with me, Noble 6.
Yes, it is actually that fast and jarring. I mean, you don't even get officially introduced to June. The characters of Halo Reach are probably one of the biggest points of contention for the campaign. I'm kind of split between liking and disliking them. I'll bring them up when it becomes relevant, which is to say when they die, cause come on. Noble is investigating a distress beacon from the missing troopers who were sent into the region. The UNSC believes it to be the work of rebels, but we, the players, know better. It was the CIA. Jokes aside, I'm sure the suspense and buildup of this mission would have been real if you weren't shown the ruins of Reach right before the start. Slowly moving through civilian residences, strange noises all around you, mysterious disappearances. I could see this mission having quite a bit of intrigue if you couldn't see the Covenant reveal coming from 1,000 miles away on the far side of a mountain range from the inside of an Iron Maiden. Eventually the Covenant shows up and the game proper gets going. Reach has armor abilities, and while I prefer the old method of one-time use equipment, most of the armor abilities are decently fun to use in the campaign. Honestly, I usually just stick with sprint when I can because it allows me to escape the IRS. You yada yada around for a bit until you break into a downed comms array where you learn to ask questions like, who the fuck is this guy? And what did I just find? And why is Emil such a dick? And most importantly of all, why is Kat packing an entire... The mission ends with the announcement that the Covenant are on Reach. You then go to the fucking CIA. Oni is essentially the CIA in the Halo universe, in the sense that they are a shady part of the military that is, frankly, pretty terrible at their job. They also shot Kennedy. One of their installations, Sword Base, is being assaulted by the Covenant, and your assistance has been requested. This level sees you going on wheels to complete a few tasks with Kat as your companion, and the biggest obstacle is waiting for her to get in the goddamn car. Now, you could solve this problem by taking the passenger seat, but that would mean letting a woman drive. A terrible mistake, I assure you. Once you are done, you head back to the base where you get to fight a couple hunters. Now, I don't think there are any major changes with hunters compared to previous games, but for some reason they feel far less threatening than they did in, say, Halo 3. You fight your way to the top, and once you use a rocket launcher to take down a bunch of Banshees, the Corvette that was sieging the base can be brought down. You get to talk to Halsey. If you don't know who she is, you should probably be playing Halo instead of watching this video. George seems to have a special relationship with her that is never really expanded upon, like he calls her mom and the game just acts like it's not a big deal. This scene isn't too important, just hinting at things that don't become relevant until the end of the game, arguably even combat evolved. Carter gets a bit of development though, showing he's the kind of leader who protects his team. You are then assigned to work with June on a stealthy nighttime mission to perform reconnaissance on the Covenant. To do this, you need to assassinate JFK. Like 50 times. After killing a couple school buses worth of Covenant and going around all sneaky-like for a while, you attach a bomb to a Verizon cell tower before you come across this.
Can't be, that's inside the room.
It's reading right, man, look.
Look, Reach is quite a large planet. It's actually bigger than Earth, in case you were wondering, but how in the actual fuck did nobody notice this, even on accident? If you want to say satellites couldn't pick this up because of goddamn Verizon, that's fine. But there are people living in very close proximity to this place. You met them while you were going through the mission. And how did the Covenant even get here undetected? I know about slipspace travel, but I was under the impression that that shit had to be done in space, not in atmosphere. And if it was in space, how did nothing pick up on their presence? Whatever. I guess this is one of those story elements that I'll just overlook, like how Hollywood overlooked Harvey Weinstein. Regardless, now the UNSC has a target, and it's time for the next mission. Tip of the spear. Now, I'm not a huge cutscene guy, as I've stated before. I don't much care for QTEs, much less cinematics most of the time. But goddamn, this shot of the human and Covenant armies charging to meet each other in the wasteland is so fucking cool. It's rare to get to take part in a large traditional military engagement in Halo, especially as a regular foot soldier, despite being a Spartan. Honestly, that might be one of the reasons Reach has a certain appeal to it in the first place. Master Chief is the Spartan, but Noble 6 is simply a Spartan, and I kinda like that. You get a sweet grenade launcher for this mission, and you get the honor of driving with Kat again because the first time wasn't torture enough. Your end goal, after destroying a bunch of AA guns, is to reach the spire and bring it down. You get a brief gunship section, how very 2000s of you game, before you fly the Falcon through the spire shield, lose power and crash. Okay, was this really the only way to do this? Couldn't you have flown a bit closer to the ground? Maybe landed outside, entered on foot? George likely knew something would happen, and the pilot definitely knew something would happen, otherwise he wouldn't have stopped. Since this action ends up killing everyone on board except you and George, this seems like a really pointless waste of life that could have been easily avoided. It's official, George and Six are fucking sociopaths. Anywho, you make your way to the top of the spire and shut it down. Then you need to quickly get clear so a UNSC frigate can take the spire down with the force of 1,000 fucking suns.
No, somebody tell me this ain't happening.
UNSC frigate Grafton, do you copy?
Grafton is dust. We need to get out of here now.
This will come up more later, but Halo Reach does something that I think is really smart. It gives you hope before immediately hitting you with a reality check, kind of like real life. You'll notice the pattern happens a few more times throughout the game, and in this instance, I gotta say, it is really damn effective. I mean, the ship blocks out the fucking sky. It's gotta be the biggest thing you've ever seen, besides, you know, your mom. You are then shown Noble Team hiding out in a cave as a scarab thunders by outside, trying to come up with some kind of plan to destroy the supercarrier. Kat suggests using a slipspace drive as a bomb, infiltrating a smaller ship that uses the carrier to refuel, then planting it to destroy the carrier, using the top secret space program that your character used to be a part of to get in the atmosphere. An actual Trojan horse. Now, this plan is batshit insane, even Carter thinks so when he goes to ask Colonel Holland's permission.
Well, there's no way in hell he's gonna go for this.
He goes for this. You then need to fight into this super secret black site, which is under siege because, of course it is. Once you get up there, Jesus man, whoever directed this launch sequence needs a raise. This is fucking eye candy. You are charged with protecting an orbital station while preparing for Operation Uppercut. The UNSC frigate Savannah is the source of your slipspace drive and will be assisting you, which will be nice, having a whole ass warship backing you up. The space combat sections are fine. Not really too much to say because it's pretty brief and the controls aren't that complex. You break into the Corvette and kill fucking everyone on board. Once George gets the Pelican aboard, you start making your way towards the bridge. You then get to look out the window and see the Savannah, the ship that gave up its slipspace drive and provided backup, crumbling apart, as the commander helplessly tries to direct his crew. Watching this sight, it's not sad, really. It certainly wouldn't bring tears to your eyes. You just kind of look out the window and say, damn. George tells you there's nothing you can do, and he doesn't know how right he is. Once you clear out the bridge and start the refueling track, you get to defend the bomb a bit before you speak with George.
Well, I got good news and bad news. This bird took some fire and our thruster gimbal is toast, which means the only way off this slag heap is gravity.
And the good news?
That was the good news. Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We all make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
So, George's death is the first in the game, and I would argue overall it's probably the best. Which is unfortunate because I still don't think it's very good. George was the one member of Noble Team who you had the most pleasant interactions with, congratulating you when you completed a mission, killing Xeno scum with you, the works. He's also shown to be sort of a gentle giant when he attempts to comfort the survivor you find during the first mission. He probably gets more development than any other member of Noble Team, and I still don't really think it's enough. His dedication to Reach specifically doesn't even get brought up until after he's already dead, and his connection with Halsey was only really hinted at once and is never talked about again. Now, I get that that's kind of the point. These Spartans aren't chief, they aren't world-saving heroes, they're just soldiers, and they die like soldiers. But I also get that the game sacrifices a lot of character development and meaningful interaction in order to make that happen, even if I understand what they're going for. And it only goes downhill from here, one teammate down. And as you fall into atmosphere, the Covenant supercarrier is obliterated. It came at a great cost, but you achieved victory. But the game isn't anywhere near over, and we already know how this has to end. Panic chatter floods the radio channels as you witness the arrival of dozens of Covenant ships, and the music swells as if to greet them. Reach's death bell has been rung. You survive an actual fall from space somehow, like how the actual fuck? You make your way to New Alexandria, which is currently being pounded into the dirt by Covenant forces. Observe the piles of innocent bodies left over from when the Covenant rolled through before grabbing a jetpack and fighting through brutes with some ODSTs. Yeah, brutes get introduced at this point, and they are the least interesting they have ever been in the Halo series.
Echo 2, can you maintain altitude?
Negative! We're going down!
Son of a bitch. I can't watch this.
Fox Actual, should we send search and rescue birds?
Negative, dispatch. No point.
Once you finish, you get what might be one of my favorite moments in the game. It's just you, riding through the rain in the back of a Pelican, watching the destruction and devastation pass you by. The game just gives you a second to take it all in, to think about what's happening around you, to recognize that you're witnessing the death of a planet. Of course, the incredible music that was composed for this game helps. After this, you're directed to traverse the city in a Falcon, guided by Kat. As you go, you're either taking signal jammers installed by the occupying Covenant forces offline, or you're helping out the surviving friendly forces where you can. Once you complete your objectives, you and the rest of Noble Team rendezvous, and mixed in with the members mourning the loss of George, the game makes it clear that the Spartans are not blind to their circumstances. You want to know if we're losing? I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost. You're forced to make an exit by a glassing beam, while Carter informs you of your next destination, Sword Base.
We're being redeployed to Sword Base.
Sword? Covenant own it now!
Which is why they want us for a torch and burn op. Keep Dr. Halsey's excavation data from falling into enemy hands.
If it hasn't already.
Maybe, but according to Holland, the Covenant are still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
Kat's death is sudden. It comes out of nowhere. It's brutal and unforgiving, literally cutting her off in the middle of her sentence. Why do only the enemies get beam rifles? Kat is the second member of Noble Team to die, and I'd say her death is fittingly the second most effective, partially because of the shock factor. Fucking Phantom was carrying Lee Harvey Oswald. She got a bit of development showing that she has literally zero respect for the chain of command. Like, Jesus, if this wasn't an emergency situation, she probably would have been court-martialed at this point. And she was shown to be the one person on the team Carter couldn't really say no to for one reason or another. And she was decently likable like George. Unlike George, however, Kat did not get a ceremonious death. Right before Kat gets Kennedy'd, Carter mentions that George was lucky to have died believing he'd saved Reach. Kat did not get that honor. I mean, like 30 seconds before she got capped, she asked her commanding officer if winning this fight was even possible. Regardless, you've already been given your new objective. You head to Oni's sword base, and I gotta say, there's something really subtle what the voice actors are doing here that I really like. Carter is speaking quieter in a more reserved way than usual to Colonel Holland. And Holland, for his part, I feel like he's speaking just a tiny bit softer. Not a lot, because he is still their CO, but it's just enough where I think I notice. Once you... How? How are you even alive? Once you smashed enough skulls to make your way into Sword Base, you arrive at the coordinates to find nothing there. Probably our Oni friend Jeff pulling another one of his pranks. Oh, Jeff, you're such a kidder. A secret door opens to reveal the elevator to an underground facility. Halsey, who is presumed dead, but we all knew she wasn't because we've played a Halo game before, I hope, contacts you. She tells you that she's made a game-changing breakthrough with an alien artifact and that she needs you to buy her time. Now, this is a holdout mission, and there are two ways to play it. The boring way, which is to say keeping the turrets on the map active, using the various weapons left at the entrance of the Oni facility, and engaging the Covenant forces with everything you've got. Or there's the fun way. Step 1, grab a jetpack. Step 2, fly up to a Banshee and take it like a Bulgarian takes a car. Step 3, have fun. You'll be able to not only dogfight with the enemy aircraft, but also rain down hellfire on the alien assailants as they powerlessly drop dead like the Marines did in Afghanistan. Once you're finished reenacting the Luftwaffe's wildest dreams, Halsey allows you into the base. She then shows you Cortana? So Cortana was created right before Combat Evolved, huh? Cool, I guess. Apparently she chose Noble Team to transport her, which, I mean, it's not like there were a lot of other options. I imagine most of Reach's population's been turned into ground beef at this point. Noble 6 specifically is the one who is entrusted with carrying the AI. At this point, June splits off from the team to escort Halsey to safety. He's the only member of Noble Team that doesn't die on Reach. He's also probably the most forgettable member of the team. Aside from helping you Chris Kyle a bunch of elites, you never really interacted with him, and although I'm not gonna look it up to confirm, it's either him or Emil that has the least dialogue in the game. At least Emil looks cool though. And he's a dick. You, Carter, and Emil head to the Pillar of Autumn to deliver the package when you're attacked by Banshees, and how in the fuck did you get injured? Regardless, you and Emil abandon Carter to his death and go on foot. And goddamn, Bungie's skyboxes are so amazing to look at, they basically count as porn. You drive through an escalating battlefield with drop pods and scarabs falling around you. Eventually, though, you run into something you can't get past.
We can get past this, sir.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the map.
Solid copy. Hit 'em hard, boys.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Carter's death is, well, noble. He gives his life to clear the way for his team's final mission. And while, like every other teammate, he could have used a lot more buildup, we know enough about him where I can confidently say that his death is in character, which is more than I can say for the rest of Noble Team. You fight through a shipyard full of increasingly difficult Covenant enemies until you reach the landing pad, which Emil defends using a magnetic accelerator cannon while you smash skulls on the ground. And only now, on the second to last mission of the game, do they give Emil any character at all.
Noble, the keys. The pad's clear.
On my way.
6. Time for you to leave. Get the package to the pad and get your ass off this planet. I've got your back.
We don't know much about Emil. We know he can be kind of a prick. We know he's presumably a good and effective Spartan, and now we also know maybe he wasn't all that bad, as he's willing to give his life in place of someone he barely even...
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
So Emil dies. You can make it as badass as you want. It doesn't change the fact that you didn't give him any development until 30 seconds before he became a shish kebab. You are now the last surviving member of Noble Team. I mean, except June, but no one cares about June. Regardless, with Emil dead, there's only one Spartan left who can take the Mat gun. The game decided to one last time give you hope and rip it away. The hope that just maybe you could survive. But you knew that wouldn't happen from the start, didn't you? You fight through a few zealots to make your way up, play whack-a-mole with a few phantoms to buy the Pillar of Autumn time. Once a Covenant carrier comes in ready to put the pillar in its place, you take your shot.
Good gun, fight. All stations, brace for cast-off.
The Autumn got away. Noble Team accomplished its final mission. And that just leaves you, Noble 6. Quite possibly the last surviving human on the planet. You couldn't save Reach. You couldn't save Noble Team. You can't even save yourself. But you did manage to give humanity a chance, no matter how slim. And even though you won't be able to take in all of Reach's beauty right now, hopefully, for someone else, there will be another time. All that's left to do is to fight. To survive as long as you can, to bring down as many Covenant with you as possible. There's a certain feeling this mission has that I feel like makes it stick with you. You're fighting a battle you can't win. You fight until you run out of ammo, so you start finding new guns. Your armor starts to give out, so you use your equipment. But no matter how good you are, you're not an army, and you can't defeat one. And that brings us right back to where we started. What is a good story? Well, it's not a perfect story. It's not a story that has no problems, and Halo Reach has plenty of problems. The overall pace of the game is frankly way too fast, and there are very few moments for the reality of your circumstances to sink in. The characters weren't given enough time to develop in order for you to care about their deaths, no matter how gallantly or unceremoniously the game sends them out. There are most certainly issues with this story, but that doesn't mean it can't be good. Because to me, a good story is a story that makes you feel something. That something can be joy. That something can be sadness. That something can simply be satisfaction. And in this case, while it's kind of a hard one to explain, somehow I think most of the people who played the game will understand, but Halo Reach makes me feel empty. Like I just bore witness to an unimaginable tragedy that consumed my allies, my planet, and eventually even me. It doesn't exactly make you sad when you finish the game. You just kind of sit back and say, damn. And honestly, I love that. And despite all the complaining I could do, because trust me, I could do quite a bit, I would confidently say that Reach has a great story. A great campaign. At least I would. Because it made me feel something. And when I'm talking about a story, nothing else matters.